Hello Year 4. This is a recap of our session dated 22nd of March 2020. Sitti Secrets, pages 102 to 105 in your textbook. Stories about problems and issues. Mona lives in America. Her grandmother lives far away from her in a small village in the Middle East. Once Mona went to visit her. They didn't speak the same language, so they made up their own. Sitti Secrets. My grandmother lives on the other side of the earth. When I have daylight, she has night. When our sky grows dark, the sun is peeking through her window and brushing the bright lemons on her lemon tree. I think about this when I'm going to sleep. Your turn, I say. Once I went to visit my grandmother. My grandmother and I do not speak the same language. We talked through my father, as if he were a telephone, because he spoke both our languages and could translate what we said. I called her Sitti, which means grandma in Arabic. She called me Habibi, which means darling. Her voice danced as high as the whistles of birds. Her voice giggled and whooshed like wind going around corners. She had 1,000 rivers in her voice. If you look on line 18, the author uses a simile to describe Grandma's voice. Her voice danced as high as the whistles of birds. He's comparing the grandma's voice to the whistles of birds. On line 20, he also used another simile. Her voice giggled and whooshed like wind going around corners. He's comparing her voice to whooshing of wind. This is also a simile. Similes use as and like to compare one thing to another. A few curls of dark hair peeked out of her scarf on one side, and a white curl peeked out on the other side. I wanted her to take off the scarf so I could see if her hair was striped. Soon we had invented our own language together. Sitti pointed at my stomach to ask if I was hungry. I pointed to the door to ask if she wanted to go outside. We walked to the fields to watch men picking lentils. We admired the sky with hums and claps. Every day I played with my cousins Fauzi, Sami, Hani, and Hindeya from next door. We played marbles together in their courtyard. Their marbles were blue and green and spun through the dust like planets. We didn't need words to play marbles. In the evenings, we climbed the stairs to the roof of Sitti's house to look at the sky, smell the air, and take down the laundry. My grandmother likes to unpin the laundry in the evening so she can watch the women of the village walking back from the spring with jugs of water on their heads. She used to do that, too. My father says the women don't really need to get water from the spring anymore, but they like to. It's something from the old days. They don't want to forget. Glossary. Courtyard. An open space surrounded by walls or buildings, as you can see in the picture. Marbles. Marbles are tiny glass balls, and you can use them to play a game. A game played with small glass balls. Spring. Other than spring the season, we have another word that means spring. It's a place where water comes up from the ground. Translate. To translate means to say a word in another language. For example, Sitti is grandmother in English. Habibi is darling in English. Now we will go through the vocab words in this section. Admire. Admire is a verb. I admire, he admires, she admires, they admire, we admire. Admired, am admiring, was admiring. It means to really appreciate or like something. An example of a sentence would be, I looked at my mother in her new dress and admired her beauty. Or, I admire my mother's strength and will to keep me going in this hard time. Peak. Peaking, peaked, peaks. To peek means to look quickly. I peeked through the door to see if my mother was still sleeping. I like peeking through a hole to spy on people. Spun. Spun is the past tense of spin, which means to turn or whirl around quickly. Spun and spin are both verbs. Spin, spinning, spun. My friend spun around in circles until she got extremely dizzy. I love spinning my pencil around. It gives me great satisfaction. Whoosh. Whoosh is a verb. It means to move quickly or suddenly with a rushing sound. Whoosh, whooshed, whooshing. The train whooshed by, and I almost fell on my face. Whoosh is a sound we use in our writing. Sounds used in writing are called onomatopoeia. Examples: crash, bang, crack, smash, whoosh, snap. The lesson recap is over. Now please answer the questions on pages 104 and 105 in your textbook. Write your answers in your copybook. See you next lesson. Bye.